Britain. For centuries, the island has been a crossroads, a place where ships docked, trade flourished, and people arrived from distant shores. Once, it was the center of an empire. Goods, ideas, and people moved through its ports, reshaping not just Britain, but the world. Today, it is the reverse that troubles the nation, the flow of people into Britain itself. For decades, immigration has sustained this country's industries, enriched its culture, and brought new vitality to its communities. Yet, in recent years, immigration has also become a lightning rod for anger, anxiety, and suspicion. This is the story of Britain's identity crisis, a struggle between the reality of a multicultural society and the yearning for a simpler past that may never have existed. At its heart lies one question: what does it mean to be British in the 21st century? The United Kingdom faces a shortage of workers. Across industries, from healthcare to agriculture, from construction to hospitality, jobs remain unfilled. In healthcare, the crisis is stark. More than 100,000 vacancies plague the NHS, the very system that is a cornerstone of British identity. Doctors and nurses, once trained at home, are now increasingly recruited from abroad. Without Filipino nurses, Indian doctors, and European specialists, the system would struggle to keep its doors open. In agriculture, crops rot in fields. For decades, Eastern European workers traveled freely to Britain to harvest, to plant, to sustain farming. Brexit ended that freedom of movement. Now, farmers stand desperate, unable to find enough hands to bring food from soil to market. Hospitality and construction, too, are starved of labor. Skilled trades once filled by migrant masons and carpenters now lie vacant. Kitchens that once bustled with international teams fall silent. The truth is undeniable. Without immigrant labor, Britain's economy would falter. Yet the very workers who keep the nation running are often painted as a threat. Behind the statistics are lives. More than 9 million immigrants live in Britain today, nearly 14% of the population. South Asians from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka have built communities that now span generations. They are doctors, teachers, entrepreneurs, and public servants. Europeans, too, transform the labor force. Poles, Romanians, and Bulgarians filled critical roles in farms, restaurants, and construction sites until Brexit made their return uncertain. Immigrant entrepreneurs now own 1 in 7 British businesses. From restaurants to technology firms, they create jobs not just for fellow migrants, but for native Britons too. They bring flavors, services, and innovations that enrich everyday life. Immigrants are also deeply woven into Britain's most vital sectors. In the NHS, 1 in 8 employees is foreign-born. In technology, specialists from India and China help Britain compete in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and data science. This is not just labor. It is contribution. It is identity, written in the present tense, yet not all who come to Britain do so legally. The Home Office estimates nearly 500,000 undocumented migrants live in the country. The true figure may be higher. They are hidden workers, often exploited. They clean hotels, pick crops, or toil on construction sites. Their wages are low, their protections few. Yet without them, entire industries would falter. The government has responded with stricter border controls and laws designed to push them out. The Nationality and Borders Act of 2022 tightened the rules, raised barriers, and promised to restore control. But critics say such policies ignore the root causes: war, instability, and poverty in the countries people flee. And while politicians speak of cracking down, the reality remains: undocumented migrants continue to contribute, filling roles most Britons refuse. The numbers tell a story politicians often avoid. Immigrants contribute billions to Britain's economy. they pay more in taxes than they take in services. In 2019 alone, immigrants added £2.5 billion through work, spending, and tax contributions. With Britain's population aging, these contributions are vital. Foreign-born doctors, nurses, and carers sustain the health system. Entrepreneurs generate jobs and innovation. Small businesses diversify the economy, making it more resilient in times of crisis. In restaurants and food stalls, immigrants introduce global cuisines that are now staples of British culture. In technology, they lead advances that place the UK on the map as a digital innovator. Britain's global connections are not a weakness, they are a strength. Yet the narrative told by many politicians is the opposite. In the realm of politics, immigration has become more than a policy issue, it is a symbol. Leaders such as Reform Party MP Sarah Pochin have made incendiary claims, suggesting that migrants from Muslim-majority countries pose dangers to women's safety. Such rhetoric fuels fear, stereotypes entire communities, and fosters division. Hate speech, studies show, erodes social trust. It creates suspicion between neighbors, slows integration, and makes migrants perpetual outsiders. Women's safety is often used as a pretext, a way to cloak xenophobia in moral concern. But gender violence exists across all societies, regardless of immigration. To use it as a weapon against migrants distorts the truth and undermines real protections for women. The larger danger is clear. Rhetoric of division feeds polarization, making it harder for Britain to see immigration as the economic and social lifeline it truly is. Has Britain become racist, even fascist? Some scholars warn of a dangerous drift. Since Brexit, anti-immigrant rhetoric has risen sharply. Demonization of migrants, particularly those from outside Europe, suggests an abandonment of multicultural ideals. Yet others see a more complicated reality. Britain is not becoming fascist. It is negotiating identity, torn between its traditions and its global present, between nationalism and multiculturalism, between fear and hope. The future will depend not just on policies, but on whether the nation can accept diversity as a permanent part of its identity. Even before Brexit, far-right leaders in Britain built their campaigns around fear of immigration. Their rhetoric often targeted Asian and Muslim communities, portraying them as incompatible with so-called British values. Yet the reality was far different. Investment was brought to Britain. Migrants were in fact helping Britain grow, innovate, and connect to global markets. For the question is not whether Britain is multicultural. It already is. The question is whether it can embrace that reality, or whether it will continue to fear it. Immigration is not Britain's crisis. Its crisis lies in how it perceives immigration. Immigrants build, heal, and innovate. They bring food to tables, care to the sick, and ideas to the future. Without them, Britain would be poorer, not just in wealth, but in spirit. The British identity has never been fixed. It has always evolved, absorbing, changing, and becoming. And perhaps that is the truest definition of being British, a people shaped not by exclusion, but by openness. The story of immigration is not about loss. It is about resilience, renewal, and the possibility of a shared future. And so the question remains, will Britain choose division? Or will it embrace its diversity, and in doing so, find strength in its identity?